Hello, my name is Rohit and I'm a global futurist. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to be taking you on a tour of the future, looking at the kinds of technologies that might be coming through in the next 10 years and how they might impact our lives. So I'm going to talk about four things. Firstly, what are some of those disruptive technologies? Secondly, to focus on AI in particular and how it could really transform our world. Thirdly, to look at some of the applications of how those technologies might come together in different aspects of our lives and our work. And finally, to look at what are some of the practical things that we can do to really make sure we stay on top of the technology agenda. Now, what we know is that the way we develop the strategy for our businesses is changing because of all that's going on in the world and because of technology. So we know that firstly, we need to be thinking now about the next 3 months. How do we stay resilient in a fast changing world? And what technologies can help us make sure of that? Secondly, we know that in every industry, the way the industry operates is changing, the rules of the game are changing, if you like. And so the question becomes, how do we make sure we're using technology well to help us adapt and evolve to what's going on in the sector and to changing customer demands? And finally, we know that with these disruptive technologies coming over the next 1 to 10 years, we're moving into a very different world where every sector and every business will be transformed. So we need to think about, well, what's our vision of what future we want to create? What capabilities do we need to build to master these technologies? And what will that enable in terms of new products and services? With that understanding, we can then think about what do we need to do in the next 12 months to make sure we have the right kind of forward-thinking mindset, we're building the right skills, and we're making sure we've got the right kind of innovation culture so that we can respond to whatever might happen in the world and create the future we want. We also know that that world really demands that everything we do is attacking these sustainable development goals, is creating an inclusive agenda, and is making sure that we're driving future growth. So everything we do now really has to be tested against these global goals to say what difference are we making and how can these technologies help us transform the agenda. And what we can see is there are some incredible science and technology developments coming our way. On the screen, you see a set of technologies and science innovations that will give us the trillion-dollar industries that will emerge in the next 10 years. And they range across a number of incredible possibilities, from vertical farms, which allow us to grow many, many more times the food that we need from vertical structures rather than just farming the land they sit on, synthetic biology that's enabling us to tackle healthcare challenges and even create new solutions to clean up environmental problems. The Internet of Things that's providing us a powerful network of sensors to monitor everything that's happening in our world and make precise adaptations to what we're doing. And finally, Hyperloop transport. We've just seen trials of the first passenger module in Nevada this last few days, demonstrating that this revolutionary technology could transform the way we travel in the coming years. The exciting thing is that these technologies are also reducing in footprint and cost. So yes, you can take advantage of them if you're in a country like China with more than 1 billion people, but the footprint is reducing so much that even in the smallest countries and the smallest cities, we now have the potential for entrepreneurs to harness these technologies to create the businesses and industries of the future. We also know that digital is going to be central to all of this. It is the glue that holds together all this innovation, and it will penetrate deeper and deeper into our lives. And if we look at the world's largest companies, we know that Saudi oil is the biggest, but after that, the next 7 companies are all digital businesses. Last year in 2019, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon all reached a valuation of $1 trillion. This year, Apple reached a $2 trillion valuation. Now, to put $1 trillion in context, if you added together all these companies, you still wouldn't get a company the size of Amazon, Microsoft, or Apple. We can see just how powerful technology is becoming and how important it is to understand it, build the right skills, and master it so we can take advantage of it for our organizations. Now, what we know is perhaps the most important technology of all is artificial intelligence, and that is likely to go through 7 stages of development over the coming years. And those developments will give us applications in 3 key areas. Firstly, solutions that augment or support the work of humans. So, for example, in medical diagnosis, scanning through millions of records and millions of pieces of research to provide doctors with insights that can help them make the right diagnosis and give the right care to a patient. Secondly, speed. If you think about driverless vehicles, they have to process millions of computations every second to keep the car going in the right direction, to make sure we don't hit anything, to make sure we stop at traffic lights. And only AI can do that for us. And finally, there are the applications that are happening at scale. So we know that because of the global pandemic, everyone has been trying to create vaccine. You've been doing them in China, we're doing them all over the world. And the only way we've been able to do that quickly is to use AI to test millions and millions of different possible compounds, to process millions of bytes and pieces of information to come up with possible solutions. And that's why we've been able to develop the vaccines so quickly. So we can see that AI has huge potential. And when I talk about 7 stages of application, let me talk you through them. The first is expert systems. And we've seen those for a long time now. We've been using them in calculating mortgages, in all sorts of manufacturing systems to make basic decisions to keep production running. And now we have what's called robotic process automation that allows even individuals to automate the tasks that they do so that we can really create efficiency in the workplace. The second are tools that have some understanding of their context. They retain some information about their situation. And we see these in chatbots and robo-advisors. If I contact Zoom or I contact any big company now, I'm talking to a chatbot or a robo-advisor. And the important thing there is that they learn over time. So the more different issues they face, the more they can learn from their human support to update their knowledge base and be able to answer more and more questions and give more and more advice. And those are out there now in very widespread use. The next area are what we call domain-specific applications, which are as smart as humans. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we saw Google create a system called AlphaGo that took on the world Go master, a 7th Dan Go master called Lee Sedol from China, and from Korea. And it beat him by 4 games to 1. They taught the system how to play Go. Then they created a system called AlphaGo Zero, where they didn't teach it. They allowed it to learn for itself. And then it took on AlphaGo and beat AlphaGo by 100 games to 0. And we're starting to see more and more of these applications in finance, in engineering, where in one particular domain, the application is as smart as humans. But if we tried to teach AlphaGo how to diagnose cancer, it would forget how to play Go. The next area that is becoming really interesting is where we have AI systems that can actually reason and interact with their human colleagues. So we take those diagnostic systems in healthcare. We're getting to the point where they will be able to explain their answers, explain their reasoning, have intelligent conversations, even negotiate. And those are coming now, and we'll see more and more of them in the next few years. Finally, the 5th stage is what's called artificial general intelligence. And this is really the ambition of most people working in the field, to create AI systems that are as smart as humans or most humans. And we're starting to see a lot of ideas about what they could do. They could maybe provide the government services we need, run our businesses, do all sorts of tasks, freeing up human time to do a range of different tasks. And what I expect is that within 5 years, we will see AI systems that are as smart as 80% of us, 80% of the time. And maybe by 2030, we'll have genuine artificial general intelligence that is as smart as humans in every aspect of what the human brain can do. The next stage on from there is where we have AI systems that are super intelligent, that are actually smarter than humans, and that will then solve some of our biggest problems, like tackling climate change, like working out how we can improve global food distribution, tackle food poverty, improve the way we educate, radical new ideas for how we do things that no human would have thought of. And finally, there's a belief that once we have super intelligence, it will work out how to connect our brains, network our ideas, share our thoughts, and create what's called the singularity. Now, some believe that will happen quite quickly. Others believe it might be 30 or 40 years away. But it's something we need to recognize that AI is moving at a very fast pace. China alone is investing hundreds of billions of dollars in AI, and we can expect that it might well accelerate well beyond our current expectations. This is the field of technology that I think we all really need to make sure we fully understand, that we're trying to explore what the applications might be, we're testing it, we're doing experiments, and we're making sure that we really are making full use of those different stages of what AI can do today and what it might be able to do for us in the future. So let's move on now to think about how some of these technologies might come together to transform different aspects of our lives. And I'm going to talk through these 10 areas. The first is food. One of the most exciting things that I think is going to happen is really personalized management of the food we eat. So for example, imagine you're a diabetic. Using sensors on the shopping trolley and our AI to control it, it might actually prevent you putting sugary food in your trolley or not allow you to pay for it when you get to checkout. But one of the most exciting applications is the idea of being able to access your favorite chefs. So you might live in Shanghai, but you'll be able to access your favorite chef, maybe from Paris or Brazil, who can create completely personalized recipes for you, which you then cook at home. And using sensors in your wok, in your cooking utensils, they'll be able to monitor the temperature, the chemical composition of the smells coming off, the texture, to make sure you will cook that food exactly the same way as your celebrity chef. The next is in the world of entertainment. If you go to a concert or a sporting event or a festival, one of the biggest challenges is how you get out of your seat or your space to go and get food and come back because there's big crowds. Well, now using our apps, we'll be able to order what we want. Drones will bring it to us, and using 5G location, they'll be able to find the exact individual who's made that order. And it won't just be food, we'll be able to order the merchandise we want so we don't have to stand in line for it. In the world of travel, AI is going to be able to take our requirements for travel, turn them into a request, negotiate the best possible deal from the travel providers, and manage our entire trip. So we would travel to the airport in a driverless vehicle. On the plane, we would only eat food that our AI has ensured is healthy for us. At the other end, we would check into our hotel with facial recognition. In our hotel room, the walls will be covered with digital wallpaper, displaying the images or videos that we want to see. As we travel around our location, imagine you've gone to Greece. Well, you'll be able to talk to Greek people in your native language. They'll be able to speak back to you in Greek, and AI will be doing real-time translation. When you want to make a purchase using biometrics, you'll simply blink your eyelids to make the purchase. A drone will pick up the goods, take them back to your hotel. And then when you return home, maybe you'll take a hypersonic flight. So instead of a 10-hour journey, you'll do it in maybe 3 or 4. And also, all the way through your trip, you will be capturing the video, but also the smells, the taste, the touch of your experience, so that people back home and over the internet can consume your experience via virtual reality, and they'll pay a micro payment for that experience. So you might actually be able to pay for your whole trip or even make a profit by sharing that experience with people via virtual reality. In the workplace, we will see AI increasingly guiding us in how to do new tasks, helping us improve the way we perform them. It will also help us look for new jobs, find the jobs that are best suited for us, tailor our resume to make sure it fits the needs of the job, and help us prepare for the job interview. It will also allow us to be in two places at once. So we can send our hologram to a meeting while we're working from home or the workplace. It will allow us to do more things in a richer and faster and more effective manner. In terms of our health and well-being, we will see sensors inside the body and on our body monitoring everything from our heart rate to our oxygen flow to our body temperature. And our AI will be monitoring all these continuously, guiding us on whether we need to do more exercise or slow down or drink more water, even telling us what we should be eating to get the best out of our exercise regimes, but also monitoring all these vital signs in case something is happening that's going wrong with our bodies. So, for example, it might detect that we may be close to having a heart attack, in which case it will notify our doctor, it will call an ambulance, and then prepare us for the fact that this might be happening so that we can be calm when the ambulance comes and takes us to hospital. In the communication domain, we will see the technology move very, very quickly as it learns more about us. So it will actually guide us on how to say things. So if we're talking to someone and they're not understanding, our technology will be able to offer us alternative ways of saying things. If we're getting too excited, it might tell us to slow down, or if we're getting angry, it might encourage us to pause or coach us in how to avoid being angry in that situation, because it could be damaging for us if it's a partner or an employee or employer, coaching us on how to do better in our communication. In the fashion and beauty world, again, using sensors on our devices, we'll be able to see which beauty products are best for you, which perfume or cologne is best for you, to look at the makeup options and choose the ones that best fit your clothing, and look at your wardrobe and advise you what the right items are from your wardrobe to wear today for work or for a social occasion. In the family setting, we will be able to use the technology to stay in contact even when we're far apart. So imagine you've gone on that holiday trip to Greece, but at the same time, it's your grandmother's 70th birthday back in Beijing. Well, even though you're thousands of miles apart, using virtual reality, you'll be able to share the experience. You'll be able to smell the food being cooked. You'll be able to taste the birthday cake, and you'll be able to give your grandmother a hug, even though you're thousands of miles away. In our free time, technology is going to improve the way we live our lives. So we'll see robotics being used in the home to do our shopping, to do our cleaning, to iron our clothes, even to make our bed. But we'll also be using AI to support the way we learn. So, for example, if we want to learn the guitar or learn how to paint or to do paper cutting, our AI will be the most supportive and sympathetic teacher. So it doesn't matter whether we learn the idea the first time or it takes us 50 attempts to master that tune on the guitar, our AI guide will be just as patient on the first attempt as on the 50th. And finally, think about dating. Our AI will be able to talk to the dating apps to ensure that we match in a truly compatible way with other people. Once we match, our AI will talk to their AI and be able to choose the ideal first date. That might be a picnic, that might be going to a concert or going to a restaurant, but it will choose something that it knows is right for both of us. When we're on the date, the AI will be coaching us on the right things to say, to have a good conversation. Our contact lens camera will be monitoring the microfacial expressions of the other person to see how they're responding. Sensors built into that camera will also monitor things like their heart rate and their body temperature. Again, all sorts of information that helps our AI work out whether there's compatibility. And our AIs might even talk to each other to say, do you think they should go on a second date? So we'll be using technology to really enhance the way we do dating. So those are just 10 ideas of how the technology might help us. Let's close by thinking about what do we need to do to unlock all these opportunities and the powerful potential of technology in our world over the next 10 years. Well, the first is to make sure we are constantly scanning the horizon and have that role in our organization to look at what technologies are coming, to develop those scenarios of how they might be used in our sector and what the potential applications and opportunities might be, and then to build roadmaps of how we might deploy those technologies over time so we can really focus our investment and our innovation efforts. Secondly, we need to make sure we're building the capability in our people and having them take responsibility for their own learning so that they're constantly acquiring new insights, developing new skills, and really developing digital mastery so they truly understand these technologies, they understand their potential, they understand how they can be used, and they understand how to use them in the workplace. And finally, I think it's very important to be doing innovation experiments all the time with these new technologies. Short, fast experiments that allow us to learn quickly and see which will create the most value for our customers and ourselves. So that's been quite a rapid tour through some of the ideas coming through in technology, in particular in artificial intelligence, some of the application areas that we could see these technologies being used in, and finally, what we can do to take advantage of these technologies and make sure that we are ahead of the curve. I hope this has made sense for you. As a small gift from me to you, here on the screen, you can see an offer that if you would like to receive our regular newsletter, it is normally $149 for the year, but we are making it available for free to you if you go to our website and use this code RTNews at checkout. So I wish you tremendous success with the rest of the conference. I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person, but hopefully this time next year we'll be able to meet and exchange ideas and stories together. Thank you.